professionalinvestor.com's daily brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Daily Brief Market Summary Report here for with TRI for Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. Dun, dun, dun. I have to say I'm pretty pleased to see the breadth indicator is got the market tapped pretty well here. So and the good part about this is we do give you a 30-day trial here, so you can pop on and just see what the heck's going on in the stock market and what to expect at any given point in time. Also, too, I think I show you this image on a daily basis. So it's a really handy little guide. And what I really find interesting about this is usually what happens with the breadth, and it's almost like any other sort of momentum indicator, that usually it tops out first, and then maybe a week or two down the road, you actually get a big old fat price structure failure, and then the whole market goes into correction mode as this slowly cleans itself up. So you can see the image here. I think the image speaks for itself. We're probably too late to sell and probably too early to buy. Maybe not too late to sell some, because you could make the argument like this red line, even really teal for that matter. The M top failure level was right in here. And on the 13 EMA, the red line, the M top failure was here. So that was only back in the end of July where the market really started to break down in earnest. And of course, if you're, I hope, I hope some people in the public are watching this. It sure would be nice if we could get some traction on these videos. And the whole point of all this was trying to make a positive difference in this world and all this. I talked at length, I think, over the weekend in the Broiler Chicken show about this image that I duded up, and actually I just tweeted it out. So this isn't a bad little piece to throw into your trading journals as how many reasons can you justify markets moving in one direction or another? And I've got a bunch of reasons to suggest that we probably need to come back down into this area. If we follow the path on the way up, on the way down, that's what this study here is, market symmetry. This is if if the universe was a fractal, what would price action look like? It often looks almost like a mirror of the previous move. So anyway, that's sort of my expectation. I don't know whether we go into full meltdown mode here. My hunch is probably somewhere around the middle of this month. Maybe we get this dump down against this secondary trend line, because this primary trend line, you can see it's under attack right now as we speak. There it is. In fact, we even tagged it this morning: lower highs, lower lows defines a bear, blah blah blah. And 2.618, that would make sense if we come down into here, then rally back up and kiss that 100 from the other side. And then if that fails, then 4669s are pretty good levels next to look for. 38.2, Collins Pump Chaser Zone. That's what that reference is. And of course, there's 50% level. That's what this box is here. So put it all together. And of course, I've told you repeatedly, if anything, write this down in your journals if you're watching this. What are you supposed to think if you ever see, and what did we call him on the weekend? We gave this this smiley guy face actually a very specific name, didn't we? I suppose I'm probably opening up myself to lawsuits. But FTX poker promoters, right? Is that what we're going to call this thing? The DFF smile. Do we all know Dan Freeman? I think that's his name, or Friedberg or Friedstein or something like that. And then you know what the other FU stands for in that image. Anyway, what are you supposed to think? You ever see the market smiling at you? You should all know the answer to that. Not interesting. So a few people said hello there over on YouTube. We got maybe about a dozen people watching the show today. So anyway, welcome everyone. Let me know if you want to do an after party because usually on Tuesdays, and I'm like one of these reliable, dependable, Ibble kind of guys. I love Ibbles. Anyway, I was informed, and I think Chris was informed, very late hour, there will be no Pennacook report today. So it is what it is. Because there's no Pennacook report, and really kind of want to wind down these after party shows. I don't know whether there's that much value. I mean, if we only have 13 people watching this video, it's not really like we're making a big difference in this world. So let me know. I'll keep an eye on the YouTube chat. So by all means, but I look over there and it says chat disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. Chris, do you see that it's connected or did everything just get turfed out? Yeah, look at that. So they basically completely killed my login. I wonder why they did that. Remember, we go through this whole exercise. What the hell's the damn password again? Oh, good. And actually, I think you even DM'd me it the other day because you're like, is that you again? Yeah, there you are. Thank you, sir. So, okay, so there we are. We're back. So, let me know whether there is any demand for after party. If you have any questions, I think we looked in the what do we call it? The DB request room. We saw one gentleman who's posting about like 50 ideas for us to look at, but other than that, I didn't really see too much else to look at today. So I'll keep an eye on the chat interface. Looks like there's actually now 16 people watching. That's kind of cool. Also keep an eye on the lounge and just let me know, give me some feedback here while I'm blabbing away, whether we should do an after party or not. Because I'm just wondering whether there's any demand for it here. And now, as I said, there is no pancake report today. So, okay. What do I normally do here? Try to be a demonstrator of best practices. I want to ideally, whoops, hey, where did our chat go? Ideally, I would like to, I mean, the whole point of this was from the beginning is to try and just sort of outline what my typical sort of day trader day would have been when I was a prop trader, or broker, or anything. And if you guys really want to live this life, and that's a big question, being a prop trader or pro trader, whatever the hell you want to call it, on a regular basis, it's an interesting life. It's very disconnected, especially if you live on the west coast of North America or anywhere east and you want to play the North American market, or excuse me, west, like Hawaii and stuff. Ugh, the hours are horrible. But anyway, this is the life for some reason I've chosen for myself. Anyway, so demonstrator best practices. What's my daily routine? I had a really bad night's sleep last night. And actually I didn't really see anything. I did all my news analysis. I did all my chart setups. Everybody was just sort of in no man's land. There were some pretty big dead cat bounces off of support levels overnight. I didn't really see anything when I woke up at about 6 o'clock, 6:30 Pacific time for the retail open. Didn't really see anything in trade location, so I actually gave myself permission to go back and take another hour of sleep or so. Did try to pick a top, I guess you will, in the US stock market. I was just like probably about 4 or 5 hours too early, which is a little frustrating. But I think Chris and I were both commenting about how our trading's a little bit frustrating right now. Why? I don't know. And anyway, that's the fates for us. So here is the, you can see I was looking at orange juice here earlier. Here is the markets that I like to follow for sort of day trading purposes, especially if you want to join a prop firm or something. It's probably a good idea for you to concentrate on just like one or two markets and get really familiar with them. So I like to follow the gold, the oil, and the stock market. And then tertiarily, I don't think I would day trade it because this contract is way too thin. I might consider swing trading it. But day trading Bitcoin futures still, I think, is it's just not, I think, in our best interest. There, I mean, here's the 3 minute chart, and you can see it's just riddled with gaps, just way too much splotchiness. Anyway, so my routine first thing in the morning, like I said, I follow three markets in earnest, and then I've added Bitcoin. We can take a quick boo at those as this rant progresses. So, what the hell happened today? I think probably the biggest news that's hit the market of late is the fact that the whole Chinese Fakezi is just all collapsing. In fact, actually, Marat, our level 2 instructor, I sort of I kind of wake up halfway through the night and stumbling around looking at charts and screens and stuff. And actually, also Marius also posted this. There's a few people that caught their attention. Chinese economy is just basically going in free fall here. I mean, if you saw the U.S. economy, like literally imports and exports, like the whole damn economy just falls 10% just like that. Oh my God. There'd be there'd be blood in the streets. But in Winnie the Pooh, Fakezi, it's all a lie anyway. So what the hell do you believe? It's the Chinese mess is turning into a bigger mess. Man, what a surprise. So in a weird sort of way, it's kind of like the Chinese market had always been well, not always, but recently had been knocked down. It was just really a question of was it going to try and come back? And you remember we were looking at all these bullish bots right across all these Chinese burses, and we were also sort of conjecturing, did we have things like outside upside reversals, double bottoms? There is the bot setup. And I think I remember I'd said to you guys recently, we had one low, two lows, maybe you take the long off of the break of that high there, 77.82. But if anything, I do like the idea now of just sort of, can we get some sort of test? In fact, we could probably even do a nice little uptrend line off of that low because that double bottom is confirmed. That is a valid market structure trend line. And so you can see where support needs to come in here. So I think also too, there's some inflation numbers coming out of China here. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they actually report a bunch of deflation. So also too, I think I showed you recently, like they've got some absolutely insane weather going on there. And I think I had tweeted out an image that China was basically like underwater right now. So I don't know what to believe out of China. I mean, if you are a trader, then I do like the idea of hunting this trade, but it's a trade, right? You're not emotionally attached. If these lows down here at 71.10 are broken or whatever the respective market you want to trade, then you just better get the hell out of there. It's a pretty small risk window. I mean, it's only about what, 5-10% somewhere in there. And then if you can get a nice little tight little bottom that comes in against these lows, that would be even better entry. If we do lose this 71.10, my hunch is boom, V bottom. We head right back down and test those lows in earnest. So be careful there. This could turn into an AB equals CD, and that would project a test of the lows down in there. So Econs coming out of China are not looking good. And interestingly enough, I actually think that you're seeing this reverberate right across the world. It was like, and I've told you this before, I don't know whether anybody actually believes me or not, but I believe that the US demographic situation in 2000, 2001, 2002, all that was an absolute train wreck. The baby boomers were heading into retirement. Of course, you saw the huge U.S. housing boom. Basically, and now, of course, we've seen that in other countries like my country now, which is a great function of, basically baby boomers sold all their assets and they went and bought the house that they want. And all the baby boomers that lived in the very cold US Midwest and very cold East and stuff, they either moved to Florida or Texas, or they moved to California and Oregon. I think they moved initially to Oregon, California, Washington, and the prices just got bid up to just stupidity levels that Florida and Texas were starting to look like viable alternatives. Florida got bid up. And then, of course, Florida has a whole bunch of issues unto itself. Like, from what I understand, getting home insurance in Florida is next to impossible. Um, but that's actually a pretty old story. Uh, I think that the Americans knew that the demographic situation was going to be absolutely horrendous for business. Business itself was going to be winding down. And so a lot of big businesses not wanting to pay the really high cost of older employees, 40s, 50 years old, peak earnings years and stuff, they just packed up and they left and they went overseas. And there was this unholy alliance, unholy deal done with China where they basically said, hey, come and take advantage of our slave labor. We want to build out our economy. We don't want to go the way of the Soviet Union and the way that all deteriorated into just mafioso state, which I think actually mafioso state does rule China. You ever listen to Peter Zahn? He's always talking about how we really Winnie the Pooh over there. He's desperately just trying to keep the whole Fakezi going because all it is just a whole bunch of mafiosos that all just fight amongst each other for different pieces of the pie. But anyway, I digress. Point here is that that's an old story. We've made the generational shift. Baby boomers are gone now. They are fully in retirement. Millennials, you guys are all coming online, and you can see you guys coming online. And I think actually now we're going to have a shift back to sort of what normal economies look like in the United States of America as the economic engine, which means that what you should expect is you should expect the things like the US trade deficit, I actually think is going to narrow because people are going to start saying, buy American, right? We're going to have our manufacturing in North America and be patriotic and all that kind of stuff. So the whole globalization move should start unwinding. And actually, the best place to see that and how utterly imbalanced this whole thing is, Canada, by definition, is a commodity nation. We are not a manufacturing nation. And in fact, the taxes are so high here in Canada. I distinctly remember in the 1990s, all manufacturing, all industry just got the fuck out of Canada because it just doesn't make sense to do business here. I mean, look at the idiot that's running our country. He's basically like a Fidel Castro. How's Cuba's economy doing? How did that go? I mean, like, it's just stupidity why people think socialism works. But anyway, so there's no incentive for business to be here in Canada, and certainly no incentive for manufacturing to be here. But and so we, by definition, this country, Canada, is by definition a commodity nation. We're like a supermarket to the world, right? You want to build cars and stuff? Well, come to Canada and get all your aluminum and get your steel. Well, not steel, but the coal to go into making steel, metallurgical coal, and the iron ore to process to make steel. And then, of course, the steel is manufactured elsewhere. But anyway, point being that government's in charge right now, completely irresponsible, totally buying into this. Well, we have a political set objective, not an economically set objective. This is all politics. This is all little girls sitting in front of government panels going, how could you destroy the economy, the environment, blah blah, but absolutely oblivious to the fact that people actually need jobs and incomes and stuff, blah 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 blah. And now Canada actually can't. We're in a situation now where our exports are collapsing because who is destroying our export industry. So now Canada never was a manufacturing nation while we were in the commodities boom. And remember, half of the sort of bull market of the 2000s was China building out its economy, Three Gorges Dam, 10,000 buildings that nobody's going to live in. Oh, shh, don't say anything. Right. And it just kept going on and on and on. The demand for more commodities, man, Canada did great in that. Then Canada, for some reason, decided that it didn't want to be a commodities country anymore. But at the same time, too, Canada, as that supermarket, for some reason, we have leaders who are just trying to bankrupt that supermarket business. And it's a potion for disaster. And I've told you repeatedly, everybody, Canada is a short. It was a short as of 2018. We went through this great reset nonsense and, of course, all the sickness nonsense, which I think was kind of like a smokescreen for the great reset. But still, Canada is a short. And actually, it's funny. You go on YouTube, and there's one Canadian commentator that I listen to that he laughs halfway through all of his videos. And it's just like every single day, oh my god, like the economics of this country, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So anyway, there's your backdrop. Of course, Brian salty as always, but I would actually make the argument that this is exactly what's supposed to happen in this US growth cycle. The US dollar is going to slowly turn into the dominant and sort of, not necessarily like we're going to buy US dollars because it's the only place in the world that's safe. Ironically enough, it's going to be, I got to buy US dollars because Amazon, Google, Microsoft, all of those stocks are denominated in US dollars, Meta, and I got to get long these stocks. These are the growth companies for the next 10, 20 years. And you're going to just see a massive amount of demand coming in to buy US. And that's what should happen in this cycle. Actually, maybe in the after party, we'll take a good look at things like the US dollar index, because I think a lot of people wanted to basically call the US dollar index over and dead. And ironically enough, if you actually look at it from like a longer term perspective, the US dollar actually bottomed here. And we are still, I mean, we're substantially higher. I know it's awfully messy, but we're substantially off of those lows even now. And really, I would expect this thing. I mean, it's going to ebb and flow, and you don't want to be a buyer at the top of markets. You don't want to be seller at the bottom of markets, blah, blah, blah. But I would make the argument that this thing's now in this should go on easily for the next probably 10 years, that the US dollar index just slowly grinds its way higher. So as a result, and actually I do find it interesting how there's so many people out in the marketplace calling doom and gloom for things like the gold market, I beg your pardon, things like the US dollar, and then they're saying things like buy gold, buy silver, bury your head in the sand. I don't know. When I look at this gold chart, this to me looks like it's starting to form a bearish bot here. This looks dangerous. Now, kind of like the US dollar itself, same sort of talk. We are substantially off the lows. So you could very easily see something like A to B and C to D on the gold market. And then, of course, if we do just a reload zone off of that range, what a surprise. The AB equals CD harmonic objective, and I've shown you a ton of these AB equals CDs lately, a whole bunch of bearish ones, like A, B, C, D heading higher, and the way the market's reversing off them. Well, this works the same way going this direction as well. We could also do things like alt A, B, C, Ds, 127s, 1.618s. And I got a funny feeling gold's got a date with like 1,800 and change an ounce. That would just piss the gold bugs off to no end. And I also noticed too, silver sure is getting beat up here. So, along the same lines that it's awfully tough for me to make a bullish case for gold. Oh, that silver chart sure looks heavy. If I wanted to be a buyer of silver, probably good old reload zones. Yeah, you can see there's a big juicy gap just below Mountain Man. Good old 61.8. There's Brian's favorite fib, 78.6. And oh my goodness, look at that big fat M just staring you in the face. We could probably do foggy boggies off of this. So, in a weird sort of way, all of the data is basically saying, in my eyes, strong US, strong North America. Canada should hang in here. if Canada remembers what its job in this world is. But unfortunately, the local politicians are really undermining this country. And actually, it's interesting because one of the parts of the market that's getting beat up here today, if we talk about it, I don't know whether I can get to it or not. But in sort of the market commentaries, if we go to the dashboard and look at the news, we see that there's a bunch of references to how the banks are back under pressure again. And we have heard a few of these commentators talking about how the banks are back under stress. So you can see there's more sort of headlines. China largest surviving developer hits debt crisis. So this stuff in China is not going away. And frankly speaking, I think the story's long over. And I just did a 5-minute rant on that. So hit the rewind button and listen to all that stuff. More US debt downgrades, and I think we're just gonna you better just get used to this world. Interest rates now should rise for basically the next 40 years. It will be a combination of the socialists have completely destroyed the books. So we have massive oversupply. And of course, as long as we have these deficit economies, that means they have to keep issuing debt. So on top of the fact that you have more debt that just keeps hitting the market, that's more supply. And remember, this is all about supply and demand. And if there's no demand, because keep in mind, for the past 5-10 years, the US Federal Reserve, the banking cartel, was actually the only demand for any of these bad bonds. So that means there's no demand. Of course, if Chinese economy collapses, they're not going to be buying any of these US bonds. So from that perspective, it's pretty bad. But then you add insult to injury, all of these debt rating services that totally fell asleep through things like the dot-com boom and the US housing boom. In fact, there's even, watch the Big Short movie, there's lots of talk that they were actually stunningly corrupt, and they even took bribes to just be quiet. For some reason, they have moral high ground now, and we're just going to hear over and over about how bad the debt situation is. And eventually, we're going to get to the point where the politicians are sick and tired of hearing this. And then they'll start talking about austerity and start, maybe we need to balance budgets. Ironically enough, Warren Buffett said, you know how easy it is to solve this debt problem? You just simply put a clause in the U.S. I don't think it's Constitution, but in the U.S. government somehow, where if a politician endorses the U.S. government having greater than 3% debt to GDP, they cannot be reelected to government. You will find that the debt problem will disappear like that, gone. All the overspending will just disappear instantly. And frankly speaking, I think he's right. So yeah, we're running out of time. All right, so hopefully I painted a nice happy-go-lucky image for you. I don't think anybody should be surprised that we're seeing some pretty nasty numbers here. I mean, we spent lots of time over the past few days, especially in the broiler chicken show and stuff. I've been actually watching a bunch of names. Have I been talking about this Tesla guy and his stock price for a while? And the irony of it all is that they always say it's never really a good idea to short something like Allen, because Allen's like a circus guy. In fact, they used to call him like Barnum and Bailey circus. And you never know with these circus guys. Of course, they've got, an audience that's totally enraptured by them. I don't know whether the audience has any more money to spend on stuff, but I don't know whether, I mean, the chart pattern is valid, right? We talked about it, downside key reversals. They are powerful coming in at mountain man levels against downtrend lines. It makes sense why this trade is working. A, B, C, D, bear. So this is a bearish A, B, C, D. So we hit that level. Remember, I was saying just a few minutes ago off of other markets, there were bullish ones that I was drawing. Here's an example of a bearish one. And you can see it's just working away. Ironically enough, while this is just working away and it's a grinder, just slow, melt your face grind, there are actually other key reversals that have in the auto industry that have already hit their price objectives. So if you see something like General Motors, this is one that came up on our screener, and this is a piece of shit stock. It's garbage. And look how quickly It fired the key reversal and then boom, 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 down you go. So that's what a piece of shit stock looks like. When it puts in a key reversal, it breaks hard and quick. So if anything, my preferred trade in the market right now is actually, I don't give a shit about this guy. I mean, I can't buy that and I wouldn't buy that, but I think the trade is to actually go long Toyota and short General Motors, which means long Japan and short Detroit. That's actually the trade I really like right now. And in actual fact, this afternoon I'm attending a option spread sort of, how do you do it? A spread trade. How do you set up your platform and order entry and stuff on Interactive Brokers this afternoon? So I registered for that, and of course Zach, our level 3 and 4 instructor. He's so awesome. Thank you, Zach, for helping us out so much. Um, he's just firing on all cylinders. We sent out the Q3 registration for the level 4 program. I'll send out another email in a week or two as we get closer and closer, but I think I told you guys already, that's specifically only for TRI alumni. And basically it's more than half full already, and we're only into August, and none of the level 3ers have actually even written any of their final exams yet. So they obviously get priority, and if those seats are gone, then they're gone. If you do want to participate and you did get that email, you better get in touch with me, because I've already sent the reservation links and stuff out to people. And like I said, when the seats are gone, the seats are gone. So anyway, I'm doing this spread trade program in earnest. Zach's done a yeoman's job on the course material. And actually I'm going to be actively doing this plan on Interactive this fall. So I'm super excited about that. Something to actually look forward to. Ironically enough, if there was an auto manufacturer that would want to be short, this is a really good example where you sell some. The Q reversal bar itself defines your risk. You let half of the position go at a nice 1.5 to 1, then move your stop to scratch. Or in this case, I actually don't mind just leaving the stop at this high and just let the wind blow. I mean, you never know. I mean, we've said repeatedly. I mean, General Motors is it's yesterday's story. It's not really relevant anymore in this world. We have bearish structure on the other sides of trend lines, and just as we did at AB equals CDs, there's no reason why this stock couldn't go A to B, C to D, down into these levels. Into this fall. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. So I'm actually going to leave this AB equals CD on the screen. And as we do these videos over time, let's see what happens here. My hunch is that that's probably a pretty good price objective for this stock, if not lower. Anyway. Also, too, the darlings we've been talking about recently was interesting to see how the Apple, of course, and there's another anecdote, when the market's smiling at you, be careful. Violently gapping lower. Now, the interesting thing for me here is we just blew right through this 2.618, like it wasn't even there. We headed lower again this morning, but it does feel as though maybe the selling's getting a little exhausted. If we look at, and actually I probably should just wind this up now. But I'll just finish off with a quick boo at the stock market. We're down 50 points there earlier. The outside downside reversals on the ES is still working, so I certainly wouldn't get any buy signals here today. You can see we made fresh lows. So at best, maybe we carve out some sort of, inverted head and shoulders fractal pattern down here, then turn back up. But for the time being, we're still turning down. You can see where 2.618s are here for me. So I am still looking for a little bit of a dip lower against all these lows. And if I was thinking about hunting a trade setup, I do like down this area down in here. I was kind of bummed because I was hunting shorts yesterday on the stock market, and I was just like literally 2 or 3 hours too early. Ugh, what a piss off. Anyway, I got stopped out on my little short shots yesterday. So I don't see any reason to get bullish here. Again, so both the Dow and the ES have made new lows here this morning. We'll see how this plays out. But I guess, like I said there just a moment ago, the one thing that kind of surprised me was how Apple just blew right through this 2.618. And of course, I think a big conversation of this is what's the situation going on in China, and is it as bad seems? And if this is the case, then really we probably next stop is against all these lows, fill in all these gaps, and probably that's like a 38.2 if we threw that on there. Boom. Oh, let's go the other direction. Boom. There we go. Yeah, what a surprise. And you've heard Brian talk about confluence of levels. So we've heard lots of people, Tom Lee, Fundstrat, Larry Williams, all those kind of people saying that this August was going to be a bit of a soft market anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if, our ultimate destination is, look at the size of that gap right there, eh? All of these holes should be filled in, and there's a bunch of them. Look at that big hole right there. I think that one's been filled in, so it has, but that's gap's still open. So, just in the near term, I like the idea of maybe finding some sort of bottom here. We're way too late to think about shorting. And if you were interested in shorting, I think probably the trade is going to just simply be patient and wait for some sort of counter trend rally. Where are we here? Right there, some sort of counter trend rally back up against resistance, fill in all these gaps to the upside. And then if we do get a nice little M kind of failure up in there on a divergence in momentum, et cetera, you get yourself a trade set up. But I don't really like the idea of doing anything right there. You're kind of in no man's land. And, just to bring this all for a circle, that's kind of what I saw here. Where are we here? Where's my spreadsheet? Not that one. Maybe this one. This morning. So a whole bunch of no man's land. I was so bummed because I was well, actually it didn't show here, but I was very interested in trying to get short on that US market, and I was hunting like a dog yesterday against that level. But like I said, I was a little bit too hasty. And just to follow up, just so you can see what happened following that event. Where is our Dow futures? Yeah, I guess that's it right there. So no, let's not do this. Let's go like this, and then let's go like this. So you can see there I was yesterday shorting, and I was just a little bit too early. I was 1 4-hour candle too early, and that was the trade that I was looking for. But oh well, it is what it is. So we've bounced off of these lows. There were some nice panic lows this morning. And as I said, looking at the charts this morning, right here, this is no man's land for me. We could very easily roll back over, test these lows, or we could very easily rally back up into this moving average resistance. So there's nothing for me to do there. The one bright spot, we'll just finish off the video with this, is good old Bitcoin. Bitcoin tastes great. 4-hour chart, if anything, now I have to start thinking about, all right, our short level is going to start to show themselves. Horizontal support and resistance up top here at about 30,000. Candle body highs and lows for trade location. The ATR script sitting right up there. And of course, there is our 4-hour rally. We had sort of made reference yesterday, and the way that I'm looking at this is what I said on the weekend show, that broiler chicken show, was this looked like a diamond to me. And indeed, we had a big major dump there yesterday morning. Sky's falling, it's the end of the world, and then damn thing just turned on a dime and just going screaming right back up top. If you fancy yourself a sharpshooter trader, right, candle body lows for trade location, Brian, take a screenshot of this, people. Like, I got 25 people here. I should hear 25 cameras going off. If you really want to learn how to trade and be an awesome trader, that's right. That's the level right there. Brian's favorite fib, candle body lows for trade location. We painted a diamond, which means that this should be some sort of upward sloping side over here, similar to this. And that's exactly what happened. Just absolutely stunning how cliche that is. Which means, of course, that we could probably do exactly the same thing going the other direction. So good old reload zones, boom. And here we are, 61.8. We're fast approaching Brian's favorite fib. There's the 200 SMA on this 4-hour cash chart. Candle body highs for trade location. We got all these trap bulls up here that would love to, they would desperately love to be able to get out of these longs. And here we are coming into that level. Now, I'm not calling a top, just like I didn't call the bottom yesterday. But I'll tell you, I mean, if you want to learn how to trade, these are the levels. I love that candle body high for trade location, 78.6, 200 SMA, and similar sort of slope of our diamond pattern. So let's see what happens up here over the next, 3 or 4 hours. Do we roll over? That'll be my challenge for all of you. Suppose the only other thing to mention, we are in the silly season for crypto. And a lot of these altcoin charts sure look sexy. So this is this Algorand. It's on Binance. I suppose there are other exchanges that you could trade off of. Us here in North America, of course, we've been excommunicated. So thank you, Mr. Gensler, for preventing us from playing in these kind of markets now. But long and short of it here, everybody should look at that and go, gee whiz, that looks like a W within a W. Oh, and FYI for TRIers, due to popular request, we actually added a new room to the Discord channel, the TRI Discord channel. And you can see, look who's fast at work here today. Captain Little Old Lady. And if anything, if there ever was a little old lady lover out there in the world, this has got to be it. Eddie, he's so awesome. So anyway, I threw an idea there for anybody who's interested in nibbling away Nanny Nibble style. So thank you very much, Stuart, for setting the room up. And there were a lot of people on the site asked specifically for this. Now, please understand, this is not a chit-chatty room. This is post your ideas. And if anything, I don't know whether we have a quarterback here, but, let's try and just keep the conversation in the lounge. And, if you want to see ideas that either people are taking profits on or they are nibbling away, we've got the room up and running. And big thank you to Stuart and the team for putting that together. That makes me super happy. So, we had, there's so many of these names that look like this. So I don't know how this is going to resolve. My hunch is we're still in the diamond. V bottoms like to be tested just like this, just like this. V tops like to be tested just like this, just like this. It's happening now. I wouldn't be surprised if our playground is still within here. Then the question ultimately, and this is probably how we should finish all this off, is what are the drivers that might drive things here over the next few days? And we've got Thursday. I mentioned this to you before. In fact, I think we actually even have the Chinese inflation numbers themselves coming out tonight. And I wouldn't even be surprised if these guys actually start reporting some deflationary pressure here. You can see inflation rate month over month. They're actually looking for a negative number. The market is expecting deflation here. So how bad is this going to be? I don't know. Producer price index. Look at these numbers. Holy free holies. This would be an interesting chart to frame. You're going the wrong way. What the hell's going on here? Anyway, you don't need me to go on about China anymore. You heard what I thought. So, but we also have, and I think this is going to be a big driver coming up Thursday. So that's the day after tomorrow. We've got big inflation numbers that everybody's going to be watching. And of course, we got a whole bunch of Fed speakers. They'll be barking about all these inflation numbers through the day. So if you want something to look forward to that might act as a catalyst to break sort of the current negative sort of sentiment in the market, it's probably this Thursday. And of course, it comes in at like 5:30 in the morning, my time. Wonderful. So there's your market summary. I hope I gave you some good value here today. This Canadian, we're supposed to be a supplier of products to the world. We're showing trade deficits. That is not a good sign for my country. And, the U.S. is just doing its thing. If anything, and this is how I started the conversation off, if you actually believe in the global economy, you actually want this balance of trade to be getting worse, a bigger and bigger negative number, i.e., World economy just keeps dumping product into the US market, and the US consumers just keep buying it up, buying it up, buying it up. That's not the case. Something is systematically changing here. And does this actually start going into the US surplus? That would be hilarious. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. This is, and this makes sense, right? They flood the market with tons and tons of money. And of course, it causes a trade deficit to go through the roof. Americans just buying everything they possibly can. Have we had a seed change shift? I think so. But anyway, only time will tell. All right, I don't know where they're. Hopefully, I did a half decent job there, but hopefully, you got something out of this to consider. Have yourselves a great day, and let's Eddie. I'm gonna leave it up to you. What do you think? Should we do an after party here today? No pressure, no pressure. It is all on Eddie's shoulders. What does he say? Loading. Yes. All right. Well, we got a big guy, right? So Eddie says we got to go do an after party. All right. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. It was lots of fun chatting with all of you out there in the public land. Give you an extra long one today because we didn't have a panic kick report today. Good luck, Stuart, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for adding the little old lady room. So if you do want to get into that stream, I think now we have a conduit, a place to focus that attention, which I think is good. Oh boy, Brian's still talking. Just FYI, right? I follow, whoops, that's a different spreadsheet. We want nope, it's not that one. Oh, geez, darn. No, I can't even find it. Anyway, yeah, here we are. I mean, I've got a big little old lady plan already running, and I've got about 30 names on the books. And I still would like to buy some more, but I'm busy managing all this now, and really I'll just be adding to these positions over the next 6 months. I do expect that we're going to head over and test all of the lows that we've seen here through the fall. Do we get a nice little rally window here in the latter part of August? Usually we do. So if you're lucky, you'll be able to bang out a few more doubles here through the summer. But slow and steady wins the race. And like I said, now we actually have a room on the Discord channel where this is just specifically about little old lady purchases and how are you building out your plan. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win, and we'll head on over and do a little bit more talking in the after party. All right, all the best. Bye for now.